Imagine stumbling into an acting audition while desperately running from the authorities, crying real tears of panic, and accidentally landing a Hollywood movie role. Now imagine that role pairs you with a real-life, wildly intimidating private investigator, and your simple ride-along training exercise turns into an actual high-stakes mystery involving your childhood crush. Welcome to a dizzying, fast-talking, neon-soaked adventure where nothing is as it seems, and every clue only leads to more chaotic questions. Our story truly kicks into gear when our protagonist, Harry Lockhart, finds himself entirely out of his depth at a glamorous Los Angeles Hollywood party. Harry isn't an actor. He's a small-time crook who bluffed his way into a screen test to escape a botched robbery back in New York. But now, surrounded by the dazzling lights, he is hopelessly lost. It is here that he is introduced to Gabe Harry, a sharp-tongued, fiercely capable private investigator hired by the studio to give Harry some real-world detective experience. Perry is everything Harry is not: confident, prepared, and completely unfazed by the glitz and glamour of the city. The dynamic is instantly electric. Harry is the bumbling, fast-talking fish out of water, while Perry is the unimpressed professional who views Harry as little more than a nuisance. As if the overwhelming atmosphere of the Hollywood elite wasn't enough, Destiny decides to throw Harry a massive curveball. Across the crowded room, he locks eyes with Harmony Faith Lane. She isn't just any aspiring actress. She is Harry's childhood friend and his ultimate, unrequited crush from back home in Indiana. Harmony is tough, resourceful, and carrying her own heavy baggage, trying to make it in a city that constantly pushes back. When Harry approaches her, he makes a fateful, panicky decision. Instead of admitting he's a fraud, he leans into the lie. He introduces himself as a seasoned private investigator, a partner of Perry's. It's a classic comedic misunderstanding, but this single lie sets the stage for a whirlwind of danger. Harmony, believing Harry is a professional, reveals that she urgently needs his help. Her sister has been caught up in something dark and she needs a detective. Harry, blinded by his lifelong affection for her, agrees to help, completely unaware of the deep, treacherous waters he is wading into. The tension begins to slowly simmer when Perry takes Harry on what is supposed to be a routine, entirely safe stakeout. The objective seems simple: observe a cabin near a remote, moonlit lake and gather some standard intelligence for a client. The atmosphere is quiet, almost serene. The comedic banter between the two is at its peak here, with Perry delivering razor-sharp insults about Harry's lack of situational awareness. But the lighthearted tone shatters in an instant. The quiet lake suddenly feels incredibly isolated and dangerous. The figures dump a car into the water, and what was supposed to be a boring surveillance job instantly escalates into a major crime scene. Perry, switching from bored babysitter to hyper-competent detective, springs into action. He instructs Harry to stay put and stay quiet, two things Harry is fundamentally incapable of doing. As Perry investigates, Harry manages to stumble out of his hiding spot, completely ruining their cover. The sheer panic on Harry's face as he realizes they are no longer just observing, but are now active participants in a very real, very dangerous situation, is palpable. The perpetrators flee, leaving behind a sinking vehicle and a massive mystery. Harry and Perry are left standing by the water, the reality of their situation setting in. They aren't just playing Hollywood pretend anymore. They have stumbled into a massive, shadowy conspiracy. The narrative takes a sharp turn from thrilling to darkly hilarious, as Harry tries to juggle his fake detective persona with an escalating nightmare. After the lake incident, Harry returns to his hotel room, only to receive a gut-wrenching phone call. The authorities inform him that Harmony has tragically passed away in what appears to be a self-inflicted incident. Harry is absolutely devastated, believing the childhood crush he just reconnected with is gone forever. Shortly after he processes this grim news, a frantic and very much alive Harmony knocks on his door. It turns out it was actually Harmony's younger sister, Jenna, who met that tragic end after stealing Harmony's ID and belongings. Grieving and desperate for answers, Harmony looks to Harry, her supposedly seasoned investigator, for comfort and help. Harry is forced to lean entirely into his lie. The tension in the room is palpable as he tries to be her protector, while drowning in his own deception. But the real chaos starts when Harry excuses himself to the bathroom to collect his thoughts. Lying right there in his bathtub is the exact same lifeless body they just saw sinking into the lake hours ago. He is being actively framed, and the evidence has been hand-delivered directly to his room. The suspense skyrockets into pure panicked physical comedy. Perry agrees to come over, leaving Harry to endure the most nerve-wracking waiting game of his life, all while literally standing over the most incriminating piece of evidence imaginable. When Perry finally arrives at the hotel room, the sequence reaches its comedic peak. They are two grown men furiously arguing in frantic whispers over how to dispose of the frame-up without making a single sound. There is zero slick Hollywood action hero grace here. It is messy, deeply undignified, and incredibly clumsy. After the grueling, highly undignified struggle of moving the evidence out of the hotel, Harry and Perry manage to dump the body on a random park bench, awkwardly posing it to look like someone just taking a nap. They have bought themselves a temporary window, but the walls are closing in fast. The next morning brings a massive, sobering reality check. The comedic panic fades into genuine emotion when Harmony opens up to Harry about her sister Jenna. She reveals a deeply tragic family history, explaining that Jenna came to Los Angeles desperate to find her biological father, mistakenly believing it was the wealthy tycoon Harlan Dexter. The pieces of the puzzle are scattering everywhere, and Harry realizes that this isn't just a random conspiracy. It is deeply personal for the woman he cares about. Perry, doing what he does best, identifies the body from the bathtub as Veronica Dexter, Harlan's daughter. Recognizing that they have kicked a massive hornet's nest, Perry makes a definitive call. Harry needs to pack his bags and get out of Los Angeles immediately before they are both permanently silenced. Harry reluctantly agrees, heading to the airport, fully prepared to fly back to New York and leave this nightmare behind. But right before he escapes, a chance conversation at the terminal with one of Harmony's friends triggers a massive realization. Harry puts the timeline together and realizes that Jenna was the mysterious client who originally hired Perry for the lake stakeout. He realizes he can't just run away and leave Harmony to deal with this massive cover-up alone. The fake detective decides to turn around and head straight back into the fire, but he doesn't get a hero's welcome. Harmony figures out he isn't a real detective. Furious at the lie, she kicks him out and slams her heavy apartment door. Miraculously, the ER doctors manage to stitch the pinky right back onto Harry's hand. The trio's investigation leads them to a massive, high-class Hollywood gala. Perry, Harmony, and Harry infiltrate the party, knowing that all the major players, including the billionaire suspect, Harlan Dexter, are going to be there. Harry is supposed to keep a low profile, but with a giant, cartoonish bandage, he gets spotted by Dexter's brutal enforcers, two absolute psychopaths, affectionately known as Mr. Frying Pan and Mr. Fire. The goons grab him and drag him into a private room. They lock the door, demanding to know exactly what Harry and his friends have figured out. One of them grabs Harry by his freshly stitched hand. Harry, trying to act tough, refuses to talk. With absolutely zero hesitation, he rips the reattached pinky finger right back off. Harmony load him into the car, flooring it through the neon-lit Los Angeles streets. It's a desperate race against the clock, and to get back to the emergency room so the doctors can sew his finger back. En route, they happen to cross paths with the exact same vehicle driven by the goons they've been tracking. The stakes instantly change. Forget the hospital and forget the bleeding finger. They can't lose this lead. The vehicle parks. One of the goons steps out, checks his surroundings, and disappears into the dark tree line on foot. Harry stays exactly where he is, while Harmony heads straight into the line of fire to play detective. Harmony frantically scans the shadows. She finally spots Perry. He's in full private eye mode, conducting his own surveillance. He is tailing a mysterious girl, a major lead in the case, down a dimly lit, isolated walkway. But Harmony sees what Perry doesn't. It's a trap. She desperately tries to close the distance to warn him, but out of nowhere, one of the goons ambushes her. He grabs her from behind, trying to silence her. But Harmony is not a damsel in distress. She fights back hard, manages to slip his grip, and absolutely lays him out, leaving the massive henchman unconscious in the dirt. Harmony scrambles to catch up to Perry. She is sprinting through the dark, adrenaline pumping, but she stumbles. As she falls, her finger jerks on the trigger of her gun. Bang! The gun misfires, sending a gunshot echoing through the entire park. But that accidental misfire is exactly what saves Perry's life. The sudden gunshot alarms him. He snaps to attention and evades it by a fraction of a second. The misfire instantly triggers a chaotic altercation. One of the goons is permanently taken out of the equation. The girl Perry was tailing uses the distraction to scramble out of the line of sight, sprinting to escape the park. She bolts straight toward the street and jumps into the driver's seat of the nearest vehicle. Harry wakes into another nightmare. The pink-haired woman, Mia, has unknowingly brought him to her home. And before he can even process what is happening, danger follows them there. The remaining thug arrives, and the scene becomes one of Harry's most intense moments. Up to this point, Harry has mostly survived by panic, sarcasm, and pure accident. But here, he is forced to act. He may not be a real detective, and he may not be the hero type, but when the moment comes, he finally does something that changes the direction of the case. It is messy, scary, and very hairy. After the chaos, Harry returns to Harmony, and the emotional part of the story starts cutting through the jokes. Harry admits he is not a detective at all. He's a small-time thief who accidentally stumbled into this whole Hollywood mess. Harmony also reveals an old truth from their past, and the moment does not go smoothly. Instead of becoming romantic and clean, it becomes awkward, painful, and very human. Both of them are carrying old disappointments, and neither of them knows how to handle honesty without turning it into a fight. This scene matters because it strips away the fake detective act and shows that Harry's biggest problem is not the case. It is the fact that he still sees himself as a loser, pretending to be someone better. The next day, Perry pulls Harry back into the case after Harmony leaves a troubling message, and then seems to vanish. Now the mystery becomes more serious. Harry and Perry start investigating Harlan Dexter's connection to a mental hospital, and the pieces begin to snap together. They discover that Veronica Dexter may have been hidden away, and they begin to suspect that the whole case is connected to inheritance, impersonation, and a carefully staged cover-up. This is where the story starts moving from random Hollywood madness into a real conspiracy. Harry and Perry finally have something close to a theory, which is dangerous because in movies like this, the second you figure things out, the bad guys usually arrive with terrible timing. Harry and Perry get caught by Harlan Dexter and his men, and the scene becomes a classic detective movie setup. Except this movie keeps poking fun at the idea while still making it exciting. The villains think they have the upper hand, but Harry and Perry are too stubborn, too unlucky, and somehow too useful to stay defeated. Meanwhile, Harmony is not just waiting to be rescued. She makes her own move by stealing the van connected to Veronica's body, pulling the whole final act into motion. At this point, all three leads are finally active players in the same story. Harry brings chaos, Perry brings skill, and Harmony brings the emotional reason this mystery matters. The finale explodes onto the road with a wild chase through Los Angeles. Cars panic, bad aim, and desperate decisions all collide as Harry tries to stop Harlan and his men. What makes this part so entertaining is that Harry never suddenly becomes a smooth action hero. He's still clumsy, scared, and barely holding it together, but he keeps moving forward anyway. Perry, meanwhile, proves why he is the real professional. Even when the situation becomes completely out of control, the chase is loud, dangerous, and darkly funny, but underneath it is the emotional payoff. Harry is finally choosing to protect people instead of running away. After the final confrontation, Harry wakes up in the hospital, and the movie plays one last trick on the audience. Perry appears to be gone, but then it turns out he survived. It is a perfect ending for their partnership. Dramatic, ridiculous, and just sentimental enough before the movie makes a joke out of it. Harry also learns the full truth behind Jenna, Veronica, Harlan, and the pink-haired woman. The mystery was never as simple as it looked. It was a web of mistaken identity, money, guilt, and damaged people trying to survive other people's decisions. The film confirms that Harlan never actually met Jenna, and that the woman impersonating Veronica was connected to the pink-haired disguise. The final scenes bring the story back down from chaos to consequence. At Jenna's funeral, Perry confronts the person who caused the deepest emotional damage in Harmony and Jenna's lives, giving the story a final emotional punch without needing to make it too graphic. Harry, meanwhile, finally finds a strange new direction. He leaves behind his old life as a thief and starts working with Perry as an assistant. It is not a perfect fairy tale ending, but it fits Harry perfectly. He did not become a flawless hero. He became someone willing to try. And in this movie, that is already a huge upgrade, especially for a guy who accidentally entered Hollywood by hiding from the police.